beautiful curvy plus size models. Yay, finally representation. It's all a lie. It does not look like this shape. And you know who are the biggest people guilty of this? You're too small to be a plus size model. Are you kidding me? I have felt guilty about this for years, and I really hate to shed a light on this because I know you're going to be upset. I feel like I had to talk about it, and what is in this bag is probably going to really shock you. Before I tell you this huge secret that so many people don't want to talk about, please make sure you subscribe to my channel and you switch on that little notification button so you don't miss any of my videos. It really means so much to me. Mwah. Thank you. Okay, let's jump back into this big fat secret. So I have been modeling for 20 years. Yes, I know I don't look it. I'm joking. I'm also trying to actively not wear makeup as much as possible to show you the real me, and that you don't have to wear makeup. You can. I know it makes me feel good, but sometimes it's okay to just not wear makeup and show up au natural. So I started modeling 20 years ago, and I basically had an eating disorder and body dysmorphia because the industry kept telling me I wasn't thin enough. Bearing in mind at that point, I was a UK 8, which is a US 4 to 6. I took unhealthy measures to try and get skinnier and slimmer because I was not supported to figure out what would be best for my body. I didn't know for a very long time that I had an eating disorder because no one was talking about it at that point. And there was just no information to know that it's something you can and should get help for, and that it is a mental illness. Thank you, all the people who effed up my brain chemistry into thinking there was something wrong with me when actually you were the problem. So I spent all those years throughout my teens thinking that I was the problem, that my body didn't fit in the sample size they were creating, and that therefore I wasn't good enough. And no measure of unhealthy eating and unhealthy working out to purely be in calorie deficit could change the literal bone structure of my body. I am someone who has big hips, a big butt, big legs. Ironically, my aunts, I've got 7 aunts, I now have 5 aunts, they would literally say it's the curse of the Lawrence bum. Like, that was literally like, no matter how much you try and avoid it or try and prevent it, you're gonna get it one day. Like, it was such a negative, something that I dreaded. And of course, being in the fashion industry made me like dread it even more and try and like fight against my own body type. So when I get to about 18, I remember walking at a college fashion show, which is ironic because I mean, the fact that I felt like I did such crappy jobs in the eyes of like these top industry professionals, they would like laugh at the like me dressing up as Fiona from Shrek on a Halloween costume. And like, I was doing this jobs my model wanted to do just because I loved it still, but I just knew that like trying to climb up even the bottom of the rung of the ladder was better than not trying at all, or just giving up. It was desperate times, desperate measures. I went and lived in Turkey for a while because I thought that, and I heard and got told I could get some work there. Went over, moved to Turkey for a little bit. It was a terrible experience. Beautiful, wonderful country, but man, did they not treat us right. That is gonna have to be another story for another time. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear about that situation. Living in a model house with 13 other people. Yes, it's as bad as you think. I heard about plus size modeling. A girlfriend told me at this college fashion show, and she goes, why didn't you go and like speak to a few agents and see if maybe that's for you? And I was like, okay, why not? Why the heck not? So I went and I took a couple meetings, and they looked me up and down. They were like, you're too small to be a plus size model. Are you kidding me? I've just spent the last 6 years trying to starve myself in a really unhealthy way and hate my body because it was too big. And now you're telling me it's too small. It was one of those moments where I definitely could have just like given up and thought I will never be good enough. But something came over me and it was like, I'm a very determined person. I do not give up. And I've kept trying to change myself and gotten nowhere, but there's something really wrong about this. I know I'm not the problem. Like, I look around me and there's so many obviously women and people who are my size. So I think I need to change this industry that's just mistreating everyone, not being inclusive, not being diverse, not giving a shit about how they tell that to you, about how they try and control how we think about ourselves. They literally want to make us a motivated consumer by giving us insecurities. That's something I talk about in my TED Talk. If you haven't watched that yet, hopefully you can go check it out if you have a minute. Your girl decided that I was going to make my own lane, right? I didn't know it at the time, but I was essentially like creating a mid-size model movement because there really was no models of my size. So I went and managed to get signed to an agency, but I really only only got signed because I had gotten myself direct clients. So that means me literally like calling up Tesco's, calling up all these different brands, or going online, finding castings and going and booking these jobs. And when I do get to the job, I work so hard. Like I will outwork you. I will get changed quicker. I will get the shots. I will be super sweet. I will never complain. I will not get tired. Like I'm going to show up 2000%. And so I would get rebooked by these clients. Not the best clients in the world, but it was still some little bit of money. And so I went back to an agency and I basically pitched. I was like, hey, if you sign me, I will just give you some of these clients that I've gotten myself and give you this cut and percentage to just sign me, please put me on. Because unfortunately there is still this hierarchy and there is this still gatekeepers in the industry where you're only going to get some clients by being with an established reputable agency. It just is how it is. It shouldn't be. And social media is changing that now. But at that point, how long are we talking about? 11, 12, 13 years ago, you had to be with a signed agency. So I get signed to this agency and then I hear about Aerie and what they're trying to do. They want to end retouching. They want to, embrace models because of their real bodies and love your real self. And I was like, that's what I want to be a part of. That is exactly what I'm trying to do on my side. And now there's a brand trying to do it. So I did all my research and I found out that there was an agency in New York called Jag. And there was a couple of girls who had shot for Aerie through Jag and they were doing castings. So I found out Jag was coming to England and I managed to get myself into a room with the bookers there and essentially just like pitch myself and be like, I dream of living in New York. This is what I've been through. This is what I'm fighting against. I just need some more opportunities and people to help me, get in the door. And trust me, I will work my ass off because I'm so grateful. So they took a risk on me and I moved to New York for a 6-week trial. And this is where went down, where I didn't even realize this was going on. And I was so shocked. Let me show what's in the bag. Any ideas what this is, everyone? This is foam padding, and in the industry, it's just called padding. And this is for models who are slightly too small to be considered plus. They're just not really the perfect body shape to be the perfect plus size model. So they put padding under your clothes to fill you out in the places they want you filled out, but not in other places where they want you to look snatched, like your face. So here's me, fresh in New York, thinking things are changing. Oh my goodness, I've got this opportunity. And then I find out there is a whole underground scene, and some people call them fat suits. Some models actually went, and one girl in particular went to Germany and had a whole fat suit manufactured with a zip so she could step into it and zip it up to get work. How is that okay? So not only are we getting lied to because of Photoshop, we're also getting lied to thinking, oh wow, look at these beautiful curvy plus size models, yay, find representation. It's all a lie. They're literally getting padded in places where the brand or the client wants them to and not in other places where they don't. How is that realistic? How is someone in a size 14, 16, 18, 20 body at home literally absorbing these images and thinking, wow, look at that wonderful plus size model and I don't look like her, or wow, it's like her curves are in exactly the right place, or and it's not real. In that moment when I got to New York, and I'm not proud of this, but firstly I was really scared. A lot of agencies do intimidate you on purpose or just make you feel like you owe them something because they've given you this opportunity, and in some ways they kind of do, right? If they hadn't signed you, how would you have got your visa? How would you have gone into the country? How would you be going and casting for these really big brands who you never dreamed of getting? So I was scared. And I basically got told if I did not purchase one of these, which I want to say these bits of padding, it was either $55 or $95. It's probably 95. If you didn't purchase these and bring them to the client, like you just wouldn't get booked. And I still remember the first job I didn't have these pads yet because I was still trying to figure out, like, do I want to do that? And they photoshopped my waist bigger, like a client Photoshop. This is bonkers to me because literally like a year before I was getting Photoshop smaller and getting thigh gaps put in and all sorts of things. And now I'm getting Photoshop bigger. It was such a head F to go from one extreme to the other. Like it really was jarring, and I was in it and I was like really trying to stay in touch with keep on top of my body dysmorphia, keep on top of like my eating disorder, like not slip into like binge eating, not slip into the idea that now I felt pressured to eat. The next step was realizing that how normalized this was and how many plus size models were just doing it and not talking about it and not sharing it. Also realizing that I might never work again if I expose this secret, because brands find out like I'm exposing what they're doing, they're not going to want to work with me and I could be blacklisted from the modeling world. So still really scary to talk about this. Like, I spoke up about it with a couple of other girls, like Lauren Chan. We did an interview with Refinery years ago. And I don't know if the industry like didn't want this to be mainstream, but I feel like no one really saw the article. I feel like no one still really knows. Like, comment if you did not know this, because I feel like so many people didn't still. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put these pads on right now so you can see the difference. I want to believe that they're not doing it anymore, but just be aware that like pads are 100% used in gene commercials to fill out girls' butts. When you're looking at images, please, please, please protect your mental health and your body image by just being like, do not compare myself to this. I do not know if it's real. Unfortunately, this makes me really sad, but if a brand or an image does not specify that it's unretouched, you have to assume that it has been retouched, that they have used Photoshop. I would say 99.9999% of brands Photoshop at least the clothing, right? A lot of models are of different shapes and sizes from maybe the fit model that was used to create the clothes, and therefore they pin a lot on shoots, like more than you can imagine. Some brands, I could be getting pinned for up to 30 minutes to change the shape of the garment, or some people just grab the back of it and put a big clip on, a clasp on, like literally what you would use for photography to like make the dress look a completely different shape to what it is. And that for me is very frustrating because I'm the one wearing this and like advertising it, and it feels like false advertising because I'm like, I just tried this dress on, it does not look like this shape. And you know who are the biggest people guilty of this? Is fast fashion, because they literally said to me when I was vocal, I stood up and I was like, we shouldn't really be altering these dresses, right? If the customer gets them, they're not going to look the same on their body. To which I got told, it doesn't matter, it's only $10, they'll never return it. You know how wasteful that is? Fashion is one of the biggest pollutants in the world, and people are just throwing out absolute garbage of clothing and not caring because they've made their $10 and they're keeping their job and they're keeping the brand owners happy by not like rocking the boat. And here we are just polluting the world with even more crap that didn't need to be made and is not good quality and does not fit. Okay, let me go try this on. Okay, first off, let me show you a before. Just what it looked like before. So yeah, you can kind of see the before. The light might not be the best. Sorry, everyone. All right, now I'm gonna go put these fat pads in. Okay, and this is the after. Now it's not perfect. I used to wear like more of a Spanx underneath it, but I feel like you can see I've added a lot around the bust and all around here, around my waist. Yeah, I haven't done it very well at this side, actually, I'm not gonna lie. That should be lower. That's more like a hip pad here to make your hips like extra wide. Size 10, trying to fit into a 14. So I basically had to add a lot of padding around this area and the waist so that I would fit, and then a lot around the bust too to fill it out. So these are what the fat pads look like. Sometimes I'd have to put something down my arms, but not normally. Because again, like as long as the things stayed up, they weren't worried about the fact that the arms would be unnaturally much slimmer than the woman who's going to be wearing this outfit. But yeah, you can see, crazy, right? And like what it does to your body dysmorphia, like being on set, wearing these fat pads and then being able to literally remove them. In this wild, everyone. I decided after about 6 months of working for very big name brands and padding, or if they didn't want me to pad, all they did was complain that I was so small. And I was like, you saw my measurements, you booked me, like, what's the problem? I said to my agency, I can't do this anymore. It does not feel right. After everything that I've fought for and done, this is just wrong. This is just absolutely wrong, and it's not okay. And no one has a warning on these images. No one knows that this is even going on. I cannot be part of this. So that's why it's been in this bag. It's been in this bag for years. It was in a previous bag before that because I don't think this brand was out then. And that was a really scary moment. I made sure that I had enough to kind of like pay off any debts and like figure out my living situation because it was so expensive to live in New York. And at that point in time, I lived with 5 girls in a 1-bed apartment that we flexed. I can tell you that whole story about what it was like moving to New York broke and trying to figure out the modeling world. I'll definitely do a video on that for you. But it was a huge risk. But I think as soon as I stepped into that place of like true authenticity, and that's really when I started being super vocal on social media, knowing that there was just so much going on that was not okay, I really found my voice. And I recommend any of you, if something is not in tune with your morals and doesn't sit right with you, don't do it. Like, you will find another way. It's not worth selling your soul over anything to make it. And of course, you listen to the experts, you realize that there are gatekeepers, and you figure out how to get in the gate and then like run run 1,000 miles and leave them behind. So I hope that any of you weren't triggered by this video. If you are, there are free resources online that you can go and find if you're struggling with your body image, and do a social media audit. You know, if you're following accounts that don't make you feel good, unfollow them, block them, and follow people that do empower you and make you feel your best, because you deserve it. I will see you on the next video. Bye.